All right. I'm just realizing this, Doug, Nathan, Steven. I didn't send out the texter survey. So we don't have the texter answers on who they think's going to win and who's going to have the over-under. I like sent out the big survey for the thing, and I texted out some of my Indiana defense research, and I forgot to text out, hey, tell us who you think's going to win. So that's my bad. I did. I'll send it out to the texters and get their answers, and then just text it back to them. Again, if you want to get texts when Doug forgets to do stuff for the pod, maybe that's a selling point for the texts. Everything Doug forgot to say on the pod for $4 a month, 614-350-3315. Our records on stuff. We suck. We are all 2-3-1 against the spread in picking games. Steven and I are 2-3-1 on the over-unders, and Nathan's 1-4-1 of the over-unders. I was wrong on both things last time we picked stuff. So I had a lead, and I coughed it up. My bad. All right. So the line it moved, Nathan. It moved from where it was initially.
Yeah, it opened at 19, and it's now 21.
So 21, and the over-under is 60.5. And I will say
the over-under actually has dropped to 59.5 per the consensus.
For real?
What?
That's what I'm looking at.
I thought it was 60.5.
I'm looking at
the updated number right now.
I'm looking at Vegas Insider.
Vegas Insider consensus. It's the one all the way to the end. It opened at 60.5. If you go all the way to the end of the row, 59.5.
Okay.
Thank you for showing us the way, Nathan. The sarcastic tone.
Can't you read a betting chart? We don't have betting in Ohio yet. I can't read a betting chart yet. 59.5. So here's my mathematical formula.
Well, that didn't change for me.
Indiana. I took all the teams except Idaho. Again, no offense to Idaho. That Indiana has played, and I found what those teams, what their average point total was in the games when they didn't play Indiana, and then what they scored against Indiana. So in those 5 games, Indiana, their opponents have scored 79% of what they scored in the other games they played. Now, they might have played a bunch of crappy teams in the other games. So, of course, Indiana is a little better. Ohio State is averaging 48.5 points per game. If Ohio State scores 79% of what they're averaging, they would score 38 points in this game. So I'm just throwing that out there. That sounds like a T-Shoe thing. T-Shoe should be proud of me for figuring out math as it relates to betting. So, Nathan, we'll start with you. Again, the over-under is 59.5 because you look at the column on the end. 21. Ohio State favored by 21. What's your score?
So I did not do that math, but it did factor into my score. The math I did do is to go look at Indiana's offense. They're 11th in the Big Ten in rushing yards per game. They're 14th in quarterback rating. They're the only team under 100. By comparison, OSU is at 187.75, and CJ Stroud's higher than that. CJ Stroud has almost like doubled. I think he actually has doubled Indiana's quarterback rating this year. They're 13th in passing yards per attempt. Ohio State's almost doubled them there, 11 to 5.6. So I'm taking Ohio State to win 38-16. I think I am respecting Indiana's defense with that score a little bit. I just feel like Indiana's defense is going to have one hand tied behind its back because I don't think this offense, even against an Ohio State defense that has something to prove, is going to be able to move the ball consistently enough to keep it away from Ohio State enough that those explosive plays will not be able to be a factor. Now that's under. That's covering the spread, but it's under. And as you said, I've been horrible at picking the totals this year. And 4 of the 6 Ohio State games have gone over, including all 3 games where the kickoff total was under 65. So I would advise people to remember that if they're thinking about following my lead and taking the under. But I'm taking the under.
So you researched why you've been wrong and then decided to keep being wrong.
Oh, I didn't. I researched how wrong I have been. I didn't research why I've been wrong. If I knew that, then we wouldn't be here.
Okay, so and you have them barely covering. You have them winning by 22 when the line is 21.
I do, but that's the number I would have probably picked. I was in that range all week, regardless of what the line ended up. It crept up towards where I was thinking anyway.
Okay. All right, so we've got Ohio State giving the points and the under for Nathan. Steven, what you got?
I am clearly more pro Ohio State's offense versus Indiana's defense in this scenario than you two are, but also my outrageous prediction put me in a corner a little bit. 55-20 Ohio State wins. I'm taking the points with Ohio State and taking the over. I just think Ohio State's offense is going to be able to do what it wants to an extent with this Indiana. I'm not saying Indiana won't have its moments, but I don't think overall it'll be able to stop Ohio State from continuing to gain yards and put points on the board, especially now that C.J. Stroud's had another week off of rest to rest whatever ailment that shoulder still might be going through, along with what these weapons are.
I just want to clarify because you said 45 in the first half, and then I said something along the lines of, well, there could be defensive points, and you're like, well, but I don't really think that'll be a factor. You're thinking 45 offensive points first half.
Yes.
Okay. Mark it down.
If he's right,
I did.
Nathan and I aren't even going to be on the postgame podcast. It's just going
to
be
be gloating,
like
right,
singing,
I'm walking back from Bloomington,
gloating. Steven could just list all his favorite things in the world. He can have family members on the show. It will just be Steven Means time. If Ohio
It'll be
State
the most genius, outrageous prediction ever.
45 offensive points in 30 minutes against the 20th best defense in the country would be quite a thing. Okay. So that is Steven taking OSU, giving the points and the over. So I'm going to do something so that I'm not doing it because of this, but none of us have the same thing. I don't think I could talk about Indiana's defense the way I talked about Indiana's defense and then sort of not take Indiana with the points.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an obvious choice to me because Indiana's offense is so bad. And I don't think Ohio State's going to score like 30, right? So Indiana's offense has to do a little something with getting 21 points. God, I'm right on it. What is it? It's 21?
21.
I changed my score because I have to have it happen. No, I got it. 41-21. Ohio State wins by 20. And that's like 41 against like a really good defense. Again, I'm not expecting Indiana to shut Ohio State down. I just think they'll make it a little bit more difficult than it's been the last couple of weeks when they've been dropping 50 and 60-point bombs on people. I'm actually like the Indiana getting to 21. I mean, we're all kind of in that same range. I'm less sure about that. Can they score 21? I don't know. I don't know if they can score 21 on anybody. So I'm anticipating they have a little bit of a design, scripted plays early on, right? Maybe get a touchdown drive in the first quarter. Actually, and my actual plan for this is like a devastating backdoor cover where Ohio State's ahead like 41-14 and they have the third string guys on the field and Indiana scores with 2 minutes to play and ruins everybody's night. So that's an Ohio State and an over because I have 63 points with a 59.5 over under. So we're all different. I don't feel great about it, but I think in the end, my bottom line is I believe in Indiana's defense, which doesn't mean I think they're going to completely stop Ohio State, which means if Ohio State does really well, I'll have even more respect for this Ohio State offense because Indiana's got some players. Steven, anything to add before we get out of here?
It's interesting. It's basically two teams who are polar opposite colliding for the first time, which is I don't want to call it a JV version of what an Ohio State-Georgia matchup would look like, but a very, very, very small sample size in the sense that you have a very defensive-minded team who gets it done on the defensive end of the side of the ball versus a team where if they're going to win a national title, it's because of their offense, and let's see what wins out. In this situation, I'm saying in this situation, it's not that wins out is not who actually wins the game. It's can Indiana do enough to maybe poke some holes in Ohio State's offense, even if they don't win the game.
Because Ohio State would only score like 35 in the first half against Georgia because they're better than Indiana.
I do think Stetson Bennett is like Jack Tuttle is like West Coast Stetson Bennett.
Yes.
So I think that's pretty close. Nathan, anything else?
I brought this up earlier that looking back at like a game that might be similar style-wise, that 2019 Michigan State game, Ohio State was up 17-10 with under 4 minutes to play in the first half. Then J.K. Dobbins breaks off a long touchdown run. They sneak an extra field goal in before half. So they're up 27-10 at half, and they only score once more the rest of the game. So 34-10. It's kind of like I just see like some similarities here because that Michigan State, I mean, try to name anybody who played on offense for Michigan State in that game. I mean, my God. That was the Brian Lewerke days. So, very similarly unimpressive offense, at least by Ohio State standards. So I think that at the end of the day, it's going to be just enough explosive plays for Ohio State that they're going to be able to pull away from a defense that I do otherwise respect.